Welcome to Lake TV's Community Spotlight Show, brought to you by the great folks at COMC, Central Ozarks Medical Center, where your health is their mission. And we have got Leah Martin, one of the busiest, most popular people in the lake area, because she's putting on not just one, but two races now. Shootout Offshore, which used to be Lake Race, and then, of course, the big shootout. So this Shootout Offshore is new. It's a lot of work. You're kind of putting it all together all at once. That's a lot of work.
There's a learning curve to a circular race versus a straight race for sure. So we're busy. We're busy, but it's going to be a great race. We're excited to have just a huge event for the lake this year. And
usually doing it for the first time is harder than the follow-up years because you kind of put the format together, right?
Right, yeah. So, we hope to get to that wash, rinse, and repeat. I don't know that we ever really do that, but sort of in a sense. And so there's just a learning curve. I called and said, hey, when we were talking about kilos, which we've now announced as a part of Shootout, but we were considering hosting them during offshore weekend, and the racers were like, Leah, it's totally different rigging. I'm like, I would have never thought of that, right? And so just some of that learning curve that rigging is different on circular race, and it is a straight course. And so there's a lot of interesting aspects.
A lot of people don't think about that.
Yeah, no. Well, and you would think that I would, but no, I did not. I did not know that.
Okay. So how did it happen? Because this used to be Lake Race, but known as Lake Race and known as Lodo Power Fest. And now it's Shootout Offshore. How did that transition come about?
So that transition has really been a conversation with their board over the last year, quietly, of course, and kind of gone back and forth, looking at the organization knew they really needed to grow and to take it to the next level. And but then, it's hard to give up your baby, right? And making sure that it's in good hands. And so as that progressed over these last few months, it was just kind of that it was a clear path forward to put it with the shootout and to let us help grow that and bring on some national sponsors. And, we were able to ensure the national race schedule. And so it really came from safety, their current board, and racers. I mean, last year during the race, we had racers reaching out to us saying, hey, can we have a conversation about you planning this race?
Wow.
And so they just, it just needed some aspects that they felt like that our organization could stabilize the race and just begin to, this is the starting point this year, essentially. And so just be able to expand on it, all the great work that has been put in it to the years past.
Is it going to be, even though they're different races and they're very different kinds of races, still going to be raising money for shootout charities, basically?
Absolutely. So our charities are extremely excited. We actually just adopted 2 new charities at our last board meeting in March. And so able to just have such a huge impact. The charities are very excited about it. It's a lot more hours. Miss Marchie's ready to sell more shirts. I had to tell her to be at a little different level than Shootout, but so no, they're just really eager to be able to engage in, and it wouldn't happen without the charities. And so that's the number one thing I think that we can bring to this race that hasn't been there is that volunteer support. And so they just haven't had that. And so to be able to sit down with Camden County and every safety and planning organization and say, volunteers, I confidently say volunteers are not a problem for us.
Wow.
And so that's, that just shows the support of the charities have for our organization, and we love and appreciate them greatly.
It's like a win-win situation because it's a win for the community and Shootout, and it's a win for the race because it seemed to me that race always in the past was like a gold mine waiting to happen. It was just sitting there and it couldn't find its legs, and I think maybe now it will.
Yeah, I think that, there's a lot of things that can be done. And so just having someone that looks at the race differently, I think helps, and having our board. But I'm working closely with Jeff and Tom and those other board members. I talk to Tom about once a week, and we're actually meeting later this week just to kind of flush through all of the things. And so there's definitely still a part of it. It's just, the direction's coming from a different board now.
Yeah, and so if you don't know, it's now Shootout Offshore, the former Lake Race, and there still will be the big shootout at the end of August. Different kinds of racing. So in the shootout, the legendary shootout, it's a time trial, it's a speed trial. This is a little different. It's like a NASCAR on the water kind of thing.
Right, yeah, it's a circular 5-mile course. And so, I mean, depending on the classes, they have different, some classes are going to be doing time trials, and then it is just a, who gets there first kind of race after so many laps. And then for class 1, they actually have to do qualification laps, and so they'll be able to do that. And racing this year, previously it's only been about 5 hours on the water, and so we're racing from Friday, May 31st from 8 to 5, and then Saturday, June 1st from 8 to 5. But there's going to be rules of the road testing on Thursday. So there's plenty of opportunity for people to get out and see these boats. And so I'm not really sure what rules of the road testing looks like on a 5-mile circular course, but I'm told it's okay, and and that's what they're doing.
Yeah. Myrick Coyle, the Hall of Famer, calls it roundy, because they're just going in circles, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. And we worked with the racers, so that was one of the things. The course last year, they felt like some of the turns, the Monster Energy boat did an exhibition run with Myrick and Tyler.
Yeah.
They didn't have a race. And so they felt like the course, some of the turns were too tight. And so we actually worked with the racers to develop the new race course. So it is different this year.
Yep.
It has moved a little bit further up lake, and so pulled it out of that gravel arm. And so the traffic flow, you can still go from the dam to Coconuts if you want, but traffic is you're going to get into the race when you turn onto that main part of the arm.
Okay. And I saw something, and basically the race hosted by Camden on the Lake and Shady Gators over in that area. And you can see it from that side of the water. Can you see it from the other side of the water, from the Sunrise Beach side?
Absolutely, yeah, you can see it. I mean, there's a lot of vantage points in some of the marinas, and so it's just changed about a half a mile marker, so you'll be able to see that. And we're pushing that spectator line. We'd like to kind of create a little bit before you could kind of just watch everywhere from the race, but because of the safety, because we are having Class 1, which are just those big boats, they need a large turn radius. We're going to try to push all the spectators over on the Sunrise Beach side. So we'll start putting out that race course that's been approved by the Water Patrol, and so we'll start putting that out very soon.
Wow, how exciting is that?
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm really excited for the lake area that Shootout is one of the biggest races in the world of its kind. And I'm guessing this Shootout Offshore is going to become like that in years to come. Just two huge, massive racing events.
That's the goal. I mean, we want, people say this is the Key West of the Midwest, and that's kind of the goal. And I think the history of this race, those first couple of years, people talk about the glory days with this race, and that's when it was on the national race schedule, and it hasn't been in a long time. And so being able to bring that back, and the racers themselves ask for 5 things, and we're checking all 5 things off of the box. So that's where you start, right? Is getting the racers here, and have them confident in our organization and in our planning and in the course, and then we're just going to grow this baby. My goal, I have big goals for it. So
wow, I see it happening.
Yeah.
All right, we've got Leah Martin. She is the executive director of the Shootout. We're talking Shootout Offshore, the first big race of the year coming right up. We'll continue chatting right after this.
Take Lake TV with you wherever you go. Watch Lake TV on demand on YouTube, Roku, and Fire TV.
At COMC, your health is our mission. Central Ozarks Medical Center offers 3 OBGYNs at the Osage Beach Clinic and 2 pediatricians with same-day appointments available. At COMC, our doors are open to everyone with 5 primary care locations conveniently located across the Ozarks. COMC for the best medical, dental, and behavioral health care. Get more info on how COMC can help you at centralozarks.org. COMC, where your health is our mission. If you love the lake, you gotta love Lake TV. Welcome back to Lake TV's Community Spotlight show, brought to you by the great folks at COMC. We've got Leah Martin, Executive Director of the Shootout, with us. First big, massive race of the year coming up, the Shootout Offshore race, formerly Lake Race. So this is at the end of May, start of June, right?
It is, right, yeah.
Okay.
Calendar falls a little odd this year.
A weekend where the months change over there.
Right.
So Thursday, May 30th, is when things really get going, right?
Actually, Wednesday.
Really?
So our street party is Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah, so we will parade the boats onto Bagnell Dam Strip. It'll be a little different than Lake of the Ozarks Shootout, as in we stage the boats, everyone comes. So those permits have been approved. We will line the boats up on 242 and then parade them onto the strip at 5:30.
How cool.
So people, and so the strip will be shut down from about 3 o'clock on, and then we will then have a street party until 10 o'clock that night.
Wow.
So people will be able to come meet the teams, see the boats, and and it'll
And
be
that's
great.
on Wednesday the 29th.
It is on Wednesday the 29th. Yes, sir.
Okay. So there you go. Wednesday the 29th. Make your plans, and it starts at 5:30?
It does, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll parade the boats on at 5:30. So I would say get there, as early as you can and get parked. As we know, the street party is always a huge event for the shootout, and hopefully this event will be as well. And so we'll be having the Lower Ameren parking lot. We'll have shuttle buses, all the church parking. School's not in session this time of year, so it's something that we've, had to deal with in the past. So all the school parking area. And so, and you'll literally be able to just see the boats parade onto the strip. So.
And these are some cool boats.
And these are some amazing boats. I mean, they're international. I have teams coming internationally. So they're just, it's definitely boats you haven't seen before.
Okay, so that's Wednesday. Then Thursday, is that the stereo sound off party thing?
So actually, there's been a little bit of change in schedule with that too.
Okay.
Sorry, this is hot off the press. It's a really busy time of season, and so we're doing that'll be a pre-party. We're working out the details right that Bikini Lives Matter and those organizations will be there to support that and see what that looks like for Thursday night. So stay tuned to the Shootout social media and Shootout. You can actually go to LakeOzarksShootout.com or ShootoutOffshore.com and be able to get that information.
Yeah.
So we're fleshing through that. We will have rules of the road testing on Thursday. So we'll be setting pits out at Camden on the Lake and at Shady Gators on Wednesday, starting to come in, and then the boats and the trucks will leave for the street party. And so pits will be set out there. So you can go out at any point in time. We'll have spectator parking, and we will have shuttling that entire weekend from Wednesday moving forward. And so you'll be able to see the pits, meet the drivers, meet the race teams. They have a ton of just physical testing and dunk testing and things that'll happen throughout Thursday. So all teams will be on site on Thursday.
And when you say on site, that's at Camden on the Lake?
That's at Camden on the Lake and Shady Gators.
Okay.
And then we'll start craning boats in on Thursday, actually, for the rules of the road testing on Thursday afternoon. So you'll be able, the cranes this year will be able to they're going to be at Shady Gators, and we'll have 2 instead of 1. So if you haven't seen a boat be craned in and out, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So we'll have that. And so you can come out at any time from Wednesday through Saturday and see that.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is so cool. This is like one of the few places in the world you get to see these things happening.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. It really is amazing that happens at Lake of the Ozarks.
Yep, there you go. And then the racing itself starts on Friday, and you're going to have it both on Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, so we're racing at 8 a.m. and we will start right at 8 a.m. From 8 to 5 on Friday and from 8 to 5 on Saturday. And then it'll just be action packed. Like I said, some of the classes have now came back in and asked for a second race to be scheduled, and so that means it'll be a double points weekend for them on the national race schedule. So that's great.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you guys, with you guys coming on board, and you bring in, just a whole new professionalism and a whole new, for some reason, like the drivers now want to be a part of it more. The racing series want to be a part of it more. Is that all just because everybody has so much respect for the shootout?
The shootout name, that's why we did Shootout Offshore. The Lake of the Ozarks Shootout in all of boat racing has probably the most, credible name with racing. They'll tell you APBA, UIM, which are the international and national sanctioning bodies that were the biggest performance boating event in the world.
Yeah.
And so that's amazing, right? Like I don't even think of it like that. And so we needed to be able to give that credibility back to that in the race world. And so, there was a lot of back and forth. There's politics. And so working with different promoters, we did remove, we are not with the same promoter who has previously held this race in years past. They lost their sanctioning rights within the APBA. And so you're not on the national race schedule if you don't have sanctioning rights.
Yeah.
And so I knew to grow this race, we had to do that. And so we moved forward with P1 Offshore for this year. And so that puts us on the national race schedule, which is huge.
Oh, so huge.
Yeah, there was 5 races on the national race schedule, all in Florida last year. So being able to just make that switch alone is significant for our race this year.
Massive.
Yeah.
Down to our last few seconds, but if folks want to get more information on all of this, where do they go?
LakeOftheOzarksShootout.com or ShootoutOffshore.com.
Okay, simple as that, right?
Yeah, it's all on there, and so you can reach out if you have questions. There's contact information. You can submit something directly through the website, and I see it. It comes to my email. So
Great staff over there at the Shootout.
Yeah, they're great.
Thank you, Leah. Appreciate it.
Thanks
You
for
bet.
having me.
Thank you for joining us for Lake TV's Community Spotlight Show.
You're watching Lake TV.